All right. Again, as I said, it was a long show, but there were two more things on SmackDown that we want to talk about. And one that a lot of people are interested in. I'll save that in a second. But the other deal was Nick Aldis was in the ring and introduced Kevin Owens, who has been doing the angles and has already been announced, built up for a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And Owens came out and had the solemn attitude, and you could tell something was wrong. And I guess it had been leaked on the interwebs earlier in the day or whatever, what he was going to. Thankfully, I stayed away from all of that stuff. But apparently he came out and cut the promo. I've been doing this for 25 years. It's been great. Been able to take care of my family, but there's a price to pay, a toll that it takes on our bodies. And it's my turn. It's now he's hurt. And apparently, seriously, he said he's been dealing with a neck injury, I guess, since January. And they didn't know exactly what it was. And without giving any details, he found out this week, suddenly, apparently, and it had to be something new because they've already announced this match. The WWF, the way that they monitor legal and do all kinds of shit and medical. But apparently the doctors came to him and said, no, you need to stop this right now and have neck surgery. So without knowing details of what kind of injury that is or how that happened, it's plausible that they didn't know because they're 10 days away from this goddamn build. So he thanked the WWE for letting him say it, and he doesn't know when he's going to be back. And thank you, and I'm sorry. And then Orton's music hits, and people are like, uh-oh, but since he's really fucked up, they weren't going to, goddamn have him pile drive Owens or anything, but he came out, they did the face-off, Kevin left, Orton was in the ring, not really demonstrative and facial expressions as to what anybody was thinking. And Aldis says, well, no, we've got the problem now, Randy, that you have no match for WrestleMania. And Orton looked up at Aldis and just jumped up and RKO'd him, which was a nice way of giving people a pop to get out of a sucky segment. But I hate this. And everybody, oh, you hate it. No, he's been doing some of the best shit that he's been doing or has done lately, Owens, since we've talked about it, abandoned the anger management issue he had where he said, let's just fight all the time. And he switched heel and he got the pile driver over, and he's been cutting some good promos, but he hasn't wrestled. Now that you look in hindsight, he only had that match with Zayn in February. He has not really been wrestling a lot. He said it was a match in January. I don't remember what he did in January that would have, but they've known that he's been hurt in some fashion, but didn't know it was going to be that serious. So I hate to see that. Am I a curse, Brian, when no matter how much I ever despise somebody, if I actually start cheering up about them a little bit and warming up or cooling off or whatever the right phrase would be, then they're stricken with goddamn horrible injuries?
Say some nice stuff about Moxley.
I can't think of anything.
He's going to be here for a while.
But anyway, I hate to see that. So get well soon, Kevin. For heaven's sake, we don't want to.
What about Orton?
This is why This is why I didn't want him diving off the goddamn roof when they wanted to 15 years ago for just such an occasion.
And I read a quote from him where he said it wasn't like a ladder match or anything. It was actually a regular match where something happened and it got tweaked. And,
well, yeah, I mean, anything can happen, but that's why you try to mitigate the damage you do so that the shit is weaker to begin with. And you said, what about Orton and Aldis? I don't think people would want to. Aldis has not been such a reprehensible character that Orton has any reason to want to beat the shit out of him in a prolonged match, nor do the people really have any reason to want to see it. I think this was just to keep in character with what Randy Orton would do and to give the people something to remember past. Oh my God, one of my favorite wrestlers is all fucked up and who knows if we'll ever see him again. That type of thing. It was an out of the segment. I wouldn't read a lot into it.
How about Aldis and Mickey versus Undertaker and McCool?
I might pay to see that. That might be something. But only if the men can wrestle the women and vice versa.